What we're measuring here is a privacy pool cage mount. We're gonna run our unit all the way up to this soffit. This is the lowest point, so we're gonna run our unit all the way across. Now the first thing I look at when it comes to these pool cages is this area right here. This is 2 inches. Sometimes they're 3 inches, sometimes they're 4. This one's 2 inches right here. Now this one's a little bit tricky because this side is only 1 inch. Now, then I'll look to both my sides right here. We have 1 inch right here. So what we need to do is we need to bring this out. I look at the biggest measurement, which is our 2 inches. So what we need to do is bring this out 2 inches. So first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna measure this. I'm gonna measure for a 2x2 on this side. Now that 2x2 is gonna line up with this 2 inches. And since we only have 1 inch right here, I'm still gonna add our 2x2 on this side because when the installers get here, they could cut around this in our metal and sleeve this in so we have our 1 inch and then our 2 inch. This will bring all of this out 2 inches. Sometimes these will protrude out farther than these, but in this case, it's not going to.
What's protruding?
The hinges for the door. This right here, this right here. Pretty much what I wanna do is make sure everything that they already have existing is recessed so when our unit comes up, it's not hitting anything. Now that brings me to my next step, which are these little screws right here. When that unit comes down, that bottom rubber will hit these screws all day long. So what we do is I'm gonna add a piece of 2x2 angle over this, and that'll sleeve all of these screws over. So when that rubber comes down, it has nothing to hit on. If it does hit anything, it's just gonna slide right by. So this is the 2x2 that we use. This is gonna sit out just like this. We're gonna attach it to the wall, brings it all the way down. Same thing on this side, 2x2. Now, like I said before, it's 2x2. We're gonna cut around it. So we're gonna cut this so it sits right in there. And that's gonna bring it, our 2 inches out that we need, just like we did on this side. In most cases, the farthest we can go up with this unit, if we're going all the way across, is right here. This is the farthest we will go now. It's typically 2 inches down from this point. So that 2 inches, unit's gonna run all the way across. Now you're missing a little 2 inch gap up here. So what we can do is we're gonna add a piece of angle up there and it'll sit just like this up underneath that so it'll cover this whole top 2 inches. Sometimes it's 3 inches, it just depends on our drop from our soffit right here all the way across. So I'm gonna measure all the way up to this soffit, and this is the farthest we can go on this unit. So we'll have 113. So the next thing I'll do is I'll come over here, I'll measure all the way up. Now the only reason I'm doing this, I'm gonna put this in at 113, but I'm also gonna measure this side because this will determine how much angle we need up top. So we have 116, so we need a piece of 2x3 angle. I got 113 on that side and 116 on this side, and that's a difference of 3 inches. So now we're gonna measure the top, middle, and bottom of this width. So he's gonna go all the way to the wall, and I'm gonna measure all the way to this side. So we're gonna have 173.5. We're gonna grab our middle measurement, which is 174. We're gonna grab our bottom measurement, which is 174. Now, this is a trapped unit. So that means we have to take off 1/2 inch from our smallest number. So 173.5, 174, 174. And the reason we take off the 1/2 inch, that gives it a 1/4 inch of play on each side. So we'll have small 1/4 inch of play on each side. That just gives the installers a little bit of room, a 1/4 inch on each side to kind of move around. Sometimes there's discrepancies in our stucco over here. This is kind of big. this aggressive stucco right here, this could kind of protrude things out a little bit. So we always give that 1/4 inch of play for each side of these trapped units. Trapped and non-trapped, on this one it is trapped because the unit cannot go any farther on this side, and neither can it over here. This unit, there's nowhere to go over here at all. So when I measured from this wall over to that wall, so that unit cannot move any farther. So when I say trapped, I mean if you were to take this unit and try to move it, you can't go anywhere. Same thing over here on this side. You cannot go anywhere else with the unit. So that's why I take off a 1/2 inch. So we have a 1/4 inch on this side and a 1/4 inch on this side. 2/4 is a 1/2 inch. So we always take off the 1/2 inch from our smallest number of our top, middle, and bottom. All right, so the first thing I'm gonna do on these remeasure sheets and write our customer's name. Then I write my name, whoever remeasures it. Now, this is gonna be screen number 1. I just call it a pool cage. Now in this case, our motor location is gonna be on the left. We're gonna use our outlet right here. Our left height is 113. That's the highest we can go. So I'm gonna put 113 on each one. This is a trapped unit. Yes, yes. And then we have our measurements of 173.5, 174, and 174. Now I always take off that 1/2 inch from our smallest number, which is gonna be 173. So my total is gonna be 173. Now for our build out here, we're gonna have one piece of 2x2 angle for our center sleeve. 2x2 angle at, let's give him 120 for our center. Then we're gonna have 2 pieces of 2x2 square tube at 120 for our left side and our right side. And then since this has a bias of 113 on this side and a 116, but we can only go the 113, the reason I say 116 is because that's all the way to the top. So we're gonna add one piece of 2x3 angle at our width number, because this 2x3 is gonna go up the top to fill that gap. So we're gonna do it 180 for our top gap. And this, it will completely seal this part off and make sure that nothing is gonna interfere with our unit with these and our protrusion right here.